Hello and good day. I'm Chris Nelson, the Director for Vrinco in the Americas, and today I'll be demonstrating the dashboard features of WATS, as well as our WATS mobile app. Let me get started. Hopefully you can see my screen. What we're going to be covering today is essentially examples of various dashboards. What the widgets are and how to place them, move them around, and what some examples are. We'll walk through the menus, filters, and settings within the WATS within the dashboard. How you can share and subscribe to those dashboards, and then creating your own dashboard and what that looks like. And lastly, I'll go through our WATS mobile app. So why don't I go ahead and launch WATS, and we'll jump into the dashboard itself. So to get to the dashboard, you go into Analytics, and I've got my default setup, my default page set up as the dashboard. And if you wanted to navigate there yourself, you'd go to this third icon from the left, and that's where your dashboards are. You can pin this down if you choose to. Right now, I have this demo screen shown here. Chris Demo is the name of the dashboard, and it's currently in my private dashboards. We can also have public dashboards, and you can create folders and new dashboards in either the public or private areas. For now, I'm just going to walk through an example, being this Chris Demo dashboard. And obviously, I'm going to explain a little bit of why you'd want dashboards in the first place. This is generally something that you'd use for more of your casual users. So let's say you've got a GM of a particular site, or a product manager for a set of different product lines, or maybe you want to display how a particular production line is doing, and you have a large screen at the end of that production line. You could use this to show how things are running for that production line. And it's a way to customize and include multiple reports into one view and kind of customize it the way you would like. As opposed to some of our other reports and so forth that are more fixed and have very defined functionality. Now with this particular dashboard, I'm showing a number of different widgets here. So each one of these screens, periodic yield, station yield, yield by product group, yield by site, yield by product and process, these are all individual widgets that I've put together into one view. Now the specifics of these widgets aren't all that important, but I want to show how that you can be interactive with these reports. So many of them have features that you can turn on and off. So if I want to remove the alarms on this screen, I can do that. If I hover over certain things, I can get certain information on first pass, second pass, third pass, and last pass yield. Same with any number of these other views. For instance, in a more of a graph, or I should say a spreadsheet view like this one, where we're showing yield by site, I might want to sort, in this case, by the number of volume of units going through each site, or maybe I want to sort by first pass yield. Same thing here, we could sort by first pass yield. So all of these widgets are interactive, and you can play around with the features of those and explore on your own. You can also enlarge any one of these if you want to see it in more detail. So you can click on that to expand it. You can also expand the overall screen so that maybe you don't want to see the URL at the top. You want to maximize the view. You can do that as well. And then for any one of these reports, if you wanted to get into the details and understand where that came from and maybe play around with some of the features, you could click on this report icon, and it'll actually take you to the original report that generated this view, and you could explore more features. And obviously things like this report by station, there's quite a few stations available in my data set, but I'm only showing 10. So I'll show you here in a bit how you can kind of limit the view and change some of the settings. But before I do that, on any given widget, I'm going to walk through some of the menu items at the top. So first thing I want to do is walk through dynamic filtering. And the first thing we'll do is select a date range. Right now it's set to, by default, 30 days for my profile. I could change this to 3 months, and you'll see that all the graphs will then update. Currently it's set to 3 months and grouping by week. I could change that and group by month. And for those graphs that do grouping by period, they would update appropriately, right? So that's dynamic filtering, and that will apply to all of the widgets unless they are statically set to a specific set of parameters. And I'll show you how to do that in a bit. Another dynamic filter, we can group by product groupings, and these have to be set up in your control panel. I'm not going to cover that today, but these are various groupings of part numbers that we've set, and we can down select to, for instance, WATS trial demo data, and see how that plays out across all of the widgets. We can also look and filter by site or level. And so the various levels, again, are configured in a different area in the control panel. I'm not going to, again, get into the specifics of that, but you can create a hierarchy of how your test stations are in the world, where they are in terms of either location or contract manufacturer, and so forth. And again, we can select any one of these and see how that plays out across the data set. And then we kind of have the remaining filters here, where you can down select by part number, hardware revision, batch number, station name, and so forth, or maybe certain test operations. And so in this case, we may want to down select to, let's say, ICT, but maybe I want to exclude that information. So if I apply that, then we can exclude based on a certain set of parameters. So that's how you can do all the dynamic filtering. And then if you did want to save these settings, you can actually save whatever filters I've created here and call it something, and then apply those, right? So I have one here for flat pack data, and we could again apply that, and it would set up across all of the widgets. Another menu item here, if you chose to, you can download this view, and let's maybe reset all the filters here. And then if I wanted to download the whole view as a PDF and share that with somebody else through an email or what have you, we can do that. I'll wait for that to load. It'll show up here in a minute. But that's one of the options. We can also make this view a favorite, so something that would then show up on the start screen. So if I do that, and then I go back to our start screen, you'll see that the CRISP demo now becomes one of the options immediately available from the start screen. And of course, we can hit the refresh, and we already talked about expanding the entire view. One of the menu items I didn't get into, but I will now, is managing this particular dashboard. And by the way, here's that PDF that was generated. So now this is a static view that I can share with others. Now, if I wanted to edit any of these widgets, I can go to the menu item, select Edit Widgets, and then when I click on any one of these widgets, you'll see that I can edit the view, or I can add other widgets. We'll get around to adding widgets here in a minute. But if I wanted to edit some of these, you'll see that, like for the station view, there's a bunch of parameters, and the parameters change based on the given widget. This one has quite a few things that I can change. So for instance, if I wanted to change this from column to bar, I could do that and save that. We can change what kind of KPIs we want to show, how you want to sort by unit, first pass yield, second pass, and so forth. How you want to do the zooming. You can see that we can zoom by the y-axis, or we could do zooming by x and y-axis. What your percentages are, and then I'll talk about this a little bit later, but you can statically set some of the filters. You want to be careful here if you do that, because you're overriding the dynamic filters up at the top. And then you probably want to, if you're going to set them statically, you want to create a title that is meaningful and so that your users understand why that graph didn't update like the others, right? But again, you can modify any of these settings, and then if you click on any one of these, you'll see that the parameters are different based on the widget and its available settings. So I'm going to close out of that. I'm going to go back to manage, and this is an overall setting for the dashboard. So I can change the name. I can change how quickly it refreshes, from never to 10 minutes, 30, 2 hours, 6 hours, and so forth, and who the owner is and when it was created. If I want to make this public, I can do that. And you'll see that on the left, this that view went from private to public. And then again, we can change it back if we choose to by going to manage, settings, and saving that again. And now it shows back up under my private dashboards. We can subscribe to this, meaning that I can get updates on this particular dashboard on whatever frequency I choose. So I could set it up for a daily, weekly, or monthly update. And when you do that, it will look something like the following. So you'll get an email to you or whoever you send it to, and then it'll have an attachment with that particular view. And actually, maybe I'll just, yeah, there we go. Might be quicker if I just open it. And here's a view that that came in from the day before. So hopefully it gives you a sense of how you can subscribe. And close out these views. There we go. Continuing on with managing, again, we can set this as default, and we can also clone this view. So if I chose to, maybe I want to start a new dashboard, but I want to generate it from this one as a template, I can clone it, call it Chris Demo Copy, and save that. And now that new view should be shown up here, and obviously it's going to look very similar to the one I just created. So those are some of the management menu items. Now, if we wanted to create one from scratch, let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to create a new private one. And in this case, I'm going to call it Webinar Yield Site Comparison. I'll make it private and auto refresh for an hour. Now, what it'll start with is a widget toolbox, because we have nothing on the screen at this point. So I can add some items, and we can do them through this menu item. And we'll start with, let's do statistics overview. So I can either click it here, and it will drop in the next available position, or, and let's do another one, yield. Let's do an yield chart, or maybe a yield overview actually, and I can just drag it, and then it'll drop in where it can and with the appropriate size. You can always resize items, move them around as you see fit, and then of course we can edit these widgets. If I wanted to, for instance, make the table view a legend instead of the way it was shown, we can change that and any number of these other settings. Now for this particular demo, I want to show you how you can statically set some of these items. So again, I'm going to edit widgets. I'm going to add, and we'll do a yield chart. And actually, that's not the one I wanted. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I wanted to do periodic yield. So let's do periodic yield chart. Expand this a little bit. And in this case, I want to make it static. So maybe I want to show it for a particular site. So I can go down to the settings, and let's do it for Varenco Americas as an example. But if I do that again, the dynamic settings won't work. So I should create a specific title that reflects kind of what I'm doing. So I'm going to call this periodic yield for the Americas and save that. So now we have a view for periodic yield by the Americas. And then if I wanted to instead do one for a different region, I can clone it, which I just did. And now I'm on this one, and we're going to call this, we're going to actually select a different region. So let's go to Czech as an example. We'll change the title appropriately and save that. And then what you notice is that if I change this to 3 months as an example, that does work, but clearly if I select different sites, that's not going to work, right? So these are going to be static and won't really change the view that we had for these other two that were statically set to a particular level, right? So hopefully that makes sense. And that's how you can create new views and add widgets on your own. You can also add widgets from any one of the reports. So if you were to look at, as an example, let's do a yield report here, and we applied. And if I had a view that I liked, and I wanted to add that to the dashboard that I was looking at before, I could add this grid to a dashboard, do it to the webinar yield site comparison, and when I go back to this guy, we should have a new view showing up for that. And obviously, it's going to put it in the next closest available spot, and we might want to move it around and make it specific to how we want to set it, right? I will say that if you wanted to, for a kind of a grid type view like this one, oops, let's go to edit widgets here. And if we wanted to, for instance, group items, or I wanted to remove some of the columns, again, the settings are specific to this particular view, but we could take out, for instance, third pass yield if we didn't want it. Maybe we don't want the product name because it's not meaningful. We can save that. And by doing the grouping, we can then actually group by, for instance, part number if we drag it up to the top. And so we can see yield by, for instance, part number grouped in that regard. So just some examples of things you can set and settings that are available to you. I'm going to walk through a couple of other examples just so you can kind of see some other possibilities in terms of widgets that are available. So this is a station view where we can actually show where the stations are on top of a map in the world and then give some high-level statistics. There's obviously settings here where you can show it in where the daylight is, nighttime is on the world. Highlight. We can do an overview of overall yield, report status, statistics on various things about how many reports are coming in. There's all kinds of different ways for us to show yield in terms of station, by operator, by part number, rolled throughput, that kind of thing. And by the way, if you don't know what a particular term is and you wanted to look that up, you could put in RTY and say, okay, well, I guess it's rolled throughput yield, and find out what that means and get more details. We have one on retest here as an example. Retest we find is a very common inefficiency in a lot of factories. And so if you wanted to graph retesting by product or product grouping or part number, or just periodically, how is my retest going in terms of both volume and cost, we could see all that as well. And when I say retest, I mean the same serial number was run in the same process more than once. So we've got one on retesting and another one here on various types of yield. So just showing you some examples of what's possible there. Hopefully that gives you an overall sense of what we can do. I'm going to go back to my presentation, and then I'm going to show you the mobile app. So back here. So we have a WATS mobile app, not WhatsApp, but an app for our WATS application. And I'm going to show you what that kind of looks like. So to do so, I'm going to do some screen mirroring here. And that should come up here in a second. There it is. And this is what the WATS mobile app looks like. I'm going to put it right over this hand as it seems appropriate. And I'm now controlling this view from my iPhone. And this can be done on iPhone or Android OSs, so both are available. And I might want to change the date range as an example. So this is a fairly simplistic way of looking at some of the data, but it makes it much more available to you on the go. And so maybe I want to change this from 30 days to 7 days and see, how my volume and yield is doing. This is across all products, of course. So if I wanted to change that and I wanted to limit and filter this by maybe a certain product group, again, I could do that for my WATS trial demo data, which is a certain subset of serial numbers. I could, and you'll notice actually that we list the products, the part number and processes both by volume. So these are listed from highest volume to lowest volume. And then we have another list at the bottom for listing by worst yield. So listing from worst yield to best yield. Same data, but just kind of shown differently. And you can change those settings by going up to the top right. I should have shown you. So if you click on this hamburger looking icon, you can change some settings so that you maybe don't want to see it by worst yield or what have you. So you can take that out, or maybe I want to take out third pass yield. I go back and I've updated my screen. Some of those things have disappeared. I could also limit this by level. So maybe I want to select again Varenco Americas and look at the yield specific to that region or that site, and across 30 days. And you'll see that there's a couple of part numbers and processes here that have been run. And maybe I want to look into the PCBA test in more detail. I can click on that. And what it'll show then is the Pareto of top 10 failures that are occurring the most for this product and process over this 30-day period. And so it's not quite as detailed as we have in normal WATS, but even here we can click on, for instance, any one of these test steps. Maybe I want to look at the measure V out at 95 volts AC. And when I click on that, now I get kind of an aggregated view of all the data stacked up against the limits. I can reduce some of the data if I want to take out the failed measurements and look at how the distribution is, and hide or show limits and things of that sort. So that's from the home screen, which is where we were to start. I'm now going to go to the reporting section here at the bottom left, and we have a few other items that we can dig into. So, for instance, test reports. If I wanted to see the latest test reports, I could do it across the filters that I already preset, or I might, in this case, clear it, go back up, apply that so that I get all of the reports, the last 1,000 will get loaded here. And then I can click on any one of these reports and see the specifics for that particular serial number and part number. As I scroll down, and this one happened to have failed, you can see the measurement that failed and kind of what happened. If I wanted to expand all these and see them in full, I can click on the plus sign, and it'll expand all the fields and allow me to scroll through those as well. I'm going to go back. So that was test reports. We can do the same for repair reports. And again, apply a generic filter. We can see all the latest repair reports that have come in. You'll notice that the icon changes with the repair reports. It looks like a little wrench. And I'll click on the top one here just to show you what that looks like. So it's a little bit more of a simplified report versus a test report, just showing what was done to this particular board and what was repaired. And if I again click on the plus sign, we can expand out all the items to see exactly what happened. I'm going to skip the serial number history because I'll come to that here in just a minute. But I can also do the yield report, and this is one of our kind of standard or more commonly used reports, and it generally will organize this from the highest volume, highest running combination of part number and process. So starting at 277,288 on the PCBA test with 5,793 units on down. So 3,000 units on down from there. And again, we can click on any one of these. So if I wanted to click on PCBA test and get into more details of what its top failure modes were, we can see those and dig as deep as we choose. So I'm not going to belabor that. And then lastly, I want to show you at the bottom here, there's a scan option. And if I turn that on, it'll use my camera. I have to allow for that. And if I go over my 2D barcode that I have here and get in the right range, it will scan that barcode and give me the serial number history for that particular unit. So pretty handy. If you're out on the factory line, you got your phone with you and you want to see, hey, why is that unit sitting in a particular bin? We can look at the history and find out what happened. So starting from the first time it was touched in September 29th of 2023, we can look at that repair report, see what happened there, all the way up to the latest report, which was a test report. Again, different icon, right? Repair, and these are test reports. So if I click on this latest one, again, we can see what happened most recently and why it errored out. So that was a pretty fast overview of both the dashboards as well as the WATS mobile app. Hopefully that makes some sense. Please explore. You really can't mess things up with these views. Play around with them and check them out. And if you want to hear more from us and see more of these webinars and you're not already on our newsletter, please sign up for our newsletter so you get the latest and greatest news from us and hear about more webinars and trainings coming from us in the future. I appreciate your time. I hope it was valuable and hope you have a great day. Thanks so much.